With this being the 100th season of Florida basketball, you would assume that the program started play in 1918. But in this particular case, you would be wrong.
It's obviously the 100th season of University of Florida basketball, but actually 1914 was the first year that Florida officially had a basketball team. And then they had a year where they didn't play at all because of World War I, and then they had actually it was the other way around. It was World War II 1 year, World War I 3 years. So this is the 100th season. So let's celebrate that and enjoy what's happened here in Florida basketball over that period of time.
While the program struggled to find success on the court over the middle part of the 20th century, it did have a unique home that proved harrowing for opponents.
The Florida gym was special because the seats came right down to the floor. And so the fans were right on top of the action. Actually, an assistant coach at the University of Florida back in the 60s was driving down in South Florida, saw a sign that said Alligator Alley, one of the roads down there. So he pinned that phrase on, and we became Alligator Alley. And so there were a lot of great games. Florida had a lot of big upsets. Adolph Rupp hated to come in to Florida gym and play the Gators because of how exciting that was to be there.
The Gators moved into the O'Connell Center in 1980 and started to gain some steam, as Norm Sloan led them to their first SEC title in 1989. But it wasn't until 1994 that the program went to another level under the direction of fourth-year coach Lon Kruger.
All of a sudden, the Florida basketball team, amid Steve Spurrier winning SEC championships, was in the Final Four. And it was just an amazing, amazing kind of thing. Lon Kruger on the sidelines. It was just a magical run during that time that nobody could have seen coming. These players weren't highly recruited players, but they bought into exactly what Lon Kruger brought them in to do. What a run they gave everybody to get to that Final Four.
Kruger departed in 1996, which set the stage for the arrival of Billy Donovan. And while the legendary coach got off to a slow start, he made a critical breakthrough on the recruiting trail that changed the program forever.
In being able to convince a guy from the Midwest not to go to Kansas and play for Roy Williams, not to go to Duke, not to go to North Carolina, not to go to Kentucky, come to Florida, which had basically no history except for something in 1994, it got a lot of eyeballs at the time. But Mike Miller said, they convinced me that coming and doing something that never been done before was a lot more exciting than going to a place that was always a national championship contender. So what Mike Miller did, both as the Pied Piper for recruits, for the shots that he made, the single shot he made against Butler and helping Florida reach that national championship game, I got to put him on maybe the Mount Rushmore of players. Certainly one of the guys who changed the fortunes of the direction of this program.
While the Gators came up short in 2000, their fortunes changed in 2006 and 2007, claiming back-to-back national titles in spectacular fashion.
Ball game is all over! Oh my! The Gators have won the national championship!
To me, one of the most remarkable things that's happened to Florida during this incredible time is to one season start unranked and win the national championship, and the next season start number one and win the national championship with the same starting five. It'll never happen again in the history of college basketball.
Final Fours are never to be taken for granted, as the program learned through 3 consecutive Elite Eight exits from 2011 to 2013. But that provided the fuel for a historic run the following year.
They were by far and away the best defensive team in the country, and by far and away the best team in the country for 30 straight games. A remarkable run of 30 straight victories. The first team in SEC history to go 21-0. What an incredible ride that was for 4 guys who came here, all graduated, and again, kind of like those that team back in '94, just beloved on campus and just loved being Gators and loved playing in front of this crowd here in the Odeon.
As the years go by, more and more stars on the court become spectators in the stands. But that gives them the opportunity to cheer on the latest crop of Gators charged with carrying on their legacy.
They can really take pride in the success that these guys have. And honestly, they hold them accountable. I mean, I know how our former players feel, and they expect our players now to live up to the ideals that are reflected in what's transpired here over many, many years.
For Inside Gator Basketball, I'm Adam Schick.